Do I need to know where I've come from? Where I'm going? The whirling dervish of derivation and delineation. Perhaps I should make up stories and learn to live well in places of métissage, where stories know what I can't know, even as I braid the possibilities and the possibilities braid me. The reason we started to write the book, the reason really was Katherine and I were getting a bit frustrated because we started to do some arts-based research and realised there wasn't really an awful lot to tell us just how to do it. There was an awful lot of really interesting stuff out there, but not much which said, this is how you start, this is what you need to think about. So we decided to write one. So the whole idea for the book is that it's about a rich and exciting way of undertaking research. And we wanted to develop something that was really rooted in strong methodological rigour. It was something really situated in a proper philosophical way as a piece of qualitative research. So for us it was very much about the practices and the products and using those together in a way that really did represent arts-related research. Katherine.
I was coming into this book as a social scientist, and I initially wanted to be an artist actually, and having done research and worked in education in research and then finding arts related research, it felt like a wonderful homecoming for me to be able to do this type of research. And what I think it really offers anyone who's thinking about implementing this is this wonderful opportunity to interrupt and disrupt what you might be able to find out about people's experiences and people's thinking and ways of doing things in ways that really opens up other ways of expressing ourselves. The wonderfulness also, and our experience of doing some of this arts-related research, is this opportunity for transdisciplinary learning. Because for me, what's really come alive in doing this type of research is being able to work with artists. And I think I've felt quite uncomfortable about sort of calling myself an artist. I felt I'm going into other people's domain here, and in the book we do try and tackle things as who is the artist researcher, or who's able to do this type of work. And maybe Sue will pick up on this because Sue is our artist as well, collaborating with us on the book. But how wonderful to be able to do research where you've got an artist, someone from a very different background with your research participants, whoever they may be, and having those different perspectives coming in on a topic area and really rethinking it and re-envisioning what can go on here and what can we do together to try and make sense of what's going on. And this incredible value of play and celebration and wonder by just getting people to perhaps think about things through different mediums, through different art forms, whether that be music, collage, poetry, dance, performance, felt so rich and exciting and opened up people to access that creative part that we all have, I think perhaps within us, that you can find. So as well as working with new people, in partnerships with new people to bring out new imaginings and new ideas and forms of expression, it was this wonderful time to be expressive and creative. We also recognise the importance of this being robust and theoretically situated. And it is critical research. It is about understanding the theory, the practice, the doing, and the reflection. So that's so important. I think also this material productivity was really exciting to me because that's about how artists' materials or things have their own intelligence. A play has its own intelligence, a poem does, a piece of sculpture, a piece of art has its own intelligence, but that's sort of brought to life through an artist's creative intelligence, with a researcher's intelligence and participants' intelligence. So the materials come alive in this way of expressing what can be shared. And aspects of flow, about people being immersed in doing something like this as a piece of research, can be really enlivening. So I, in the book, one of the chapters focuses on analysis and interpretation in arts-related research. And I think some of the time, Maggie and I were thinking, so what is it that makes it different to traditional forms of qualitative inquiry? What is it about arts-related research That's the different bit about it. And I guess we were thinking we can learn a lot from what we know about forms of analysis in qualitative research. But what are we doing when we're analysing in arts-related research, analysing data? Because data is maybe coming in different ways than your typical focus group transcript and interview. And because the actual data is the making and the doing, it requires a different way of thinking about analysis and interpretation. And perhaps we thought it deserves another language to help denote it as being arts-related. We have to think methodologically about what actual type of inquiry we're doing and how that can be arts-related. So on that point, I'm going to hand over to Sue.
I'm very excited to be invited to contribute to the book because what's important for me was that this kind of research was being put into theoretical context, and there was an awareness that doing this sort of work is the coming together of two different professional practices, which both have their different demands, and also that required as rigorous an attention to the mechanics of the research process as any other kind of research does. So this was my recent PhD research, which was actually about the evaluation of creativity in community projects in the West Midlands. So there were a huge range of projects that I looked at. I was looking at the impact of creativity on being creative on people, and I was looking at how you evaluate it and how you research it. And I came up with an approach based on the idea that evaluation should have these kind of qualities. And you can see that because of that, the practices and tropes and materials of artists and participants in the project were really important if evaluation was going to be of the project, of the community project itself. And you can also see by this part of my conclusions that my epistemological stance is that there are many kinds of truth and many sorts of truths and many voices are important. And I was very much inspired by the famous quote, in fact, in the field from Eisner, which is not only does knowledge come in different forms, but the form of its creation differ. And if we agree with this, then we need to be looking at how we're creating the knowledge and the processes for creating the knowledge. In terms of community projects, for example, there are very few people who say, I want to I'm looking for an exciting community arts project, but I'd rather have one that has a questionnaire at the end of it. And you need to think about that in terms of your research too. So I was influenced by a whole raft of ideas about what actually happens to people, ideas and research, when they are being creative. What's going on for people intellectually and emotionally and physically, because many creative processes are embodied. So these are embodied processes. So these were the kind of ideas, the idea that, that making things, being creative is a form of thinking. And I think that's very important for this book too. And very particularly inspired by David Gauntlet's idea that being creative provides a longer stretch of thoughtfulness. And that's what we want in our research. That's what we want participants to experience.